This was a nice article that I saw a couple of days ago and realized I needed to do something with it. It's an article about cirrus clouds. We'll go ahead and read this for you. Give the upper atmosphere dust, and it will make cirrus clouds. It has long been a mystery exactly what causes the formation of cirrus clouds, the wispy billows of ice that can be seen high in the sky. But new research detailed in the May 9th issue of the journal Science finds that the clouds condense and freeze, or nucleate, on very specific mineral and metal particles high in the atmosphere. That makes cirrus clouds unique. Most other clouds form primarily by condensing onto organic particles, said study Arthur Schitzko, if that's his name, an atmospheric chemist at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's important to know how these clouds form, as they can cover up to 30% of the Earth's atmosphere at any given time and have a big effect on the climate. Clouds and climate. In fact, clouds have about 10 times the impact on climate that man-made greenhouse gas emissions do. So they're giving you some admittance here, said Brian Toon, a researcher at the University of Colorado at Boulder who wasn't involved in the study. The largest uncertainty in understanding climate change is understanding clouds, since they are so much more important, he said. Well, then I guess we should talk about chemtrail clouds, which after they've formed, they look just like cirrus clouds. But if you read another thing in Wikipedia about cirrus clouds, they'll just say it's contrails and not chemtrails. Contrails are man-made type of cirrus cloud formed when water vapor from the exhaust of a jet engine condenses on particles, which come from either the surrounding air or the exhaust itself and freezes, leaving behind a visible trail. The exhaust can also trigger the formation of cirrus by providing ice nuclei. When there is an insufficient naturally occurring supply in the atmosphere, one of the environmental impacts of aviation is that persistent contrails can form into large mats of cirrus. An increased air traffic has been implicated as one possible cause of the increasing number of cirrus clouds. But they do admit that it's causing a lot of problems. So keep your guard up, folks. Anyways, this is some suggestive Minecraft here, because what they want you to think is that much of these cirrus clouds are real, formed naturally, and that they're actually helping by gathering the metals up in the upper atmosphere, when in fact it's them spraying the upper atmosphere with metals. So again, taking the masses and just, basically just bullshitting them. By sampling the ice crystals making up the clouds and seeing what particles they formed on, although mineral particles have always found their way into the upper atmosphere where cirrus clouds hang out, humans have increased the amount of mineral dust that arrives there through land use changes, such as deforestation and land development, Toon said. No, it's getting up there mostly because we've got the Air Force and other private companies up there spraying. Shitso, whatever his name is, just a big shit to me, excuse me, estimates that the level of these minerals has increased by about 50% since the beginning of industrialization. No, it's increased about 50% since you fuckers started spraying back in the 1950s and then ramped it up through the 80s, 90s, and now in the 2000s. This is the beginning of industrialization. Metallic particles are also introduced by humans through the burning of fossil fuels and other industrial activities, he said. So they're up there spraying. I need to be clear on this. They're up there spraying metal particles throughout our atmosphere and then blaming it on manufacturers so that they could put a bigger tax on them, hence collect more money. But how does this affect the amount of size of cirrus clouds? It's too early to say. But the data from the study will help improve computer models of climate change. Toon said more mineral particles kicked up by humans could equate to more cirrus clouds, although there are many other factors that complicate the situation. It's also unclear how cirrus clouds might affect the climate depending on their location in the atmosphere. They can either help cool the Earth or warm it up, unlike liquid water clouds, which generally cool the Earth by reflecting sunlight. Ice clouds can help warm it up by absorbing reflected heat, Toon said. Particle Man. Cirrus clouds are unique in that they are made up of ice crystals, whereas most other clouds contain condensed droplets of liquid water. When most people think of clouds, they picture these liquid water clouds, which exist closer to the Earth's surface and are responsible for rainstorms and other weather. Like all clouds, hold on, let me go down, scroll a little bit. Like all clouds, water clouds need particles upon which to condense. Recent research has shown that these clouds can form on airborne microbes, sulfates, chemicals emitted by volcanoes and human activity, and other organic materials. As this study shows, however, cirrus clouds need very specific particles upon which to nucleate and freeze. Analyzing chemicals within high-altitude ice crystals is no easy task. To do so, Chipsko, and his colleagues partnered with NASA to use two of its research airplanes. Up in the air, they used a device called a counterflow virtual impactor. This device acts like a hair dryer. The inlet flows gas out the front of the plane. This stops the small particles we don't want to sample and only lets in the big ice crystals, he explained. You can imagine that if you drop a ping pong ball on a hairdryer, the flow of air stops the ping pong ball. But if you drop a bowling ball on the hairdryer, it has no effect. Same thing for particles versus ice crystals. The warm air then melted the ice, and the researchers analyzed the particles that the Air Force was up there spraying. Oops, did I say that? The particles using a mass spectrometer they took up in the airplane with them. So there you go. This is their con job on you. Alright? And that's all it is. Just a big con job for the masses. So as I said, I did a quick little clip on a Wikipedia article that talks about the cirrus clouds, how they're formed, and so on and so forth, and even have a little slight admittance that contrails are attributed to cirrus clouds also. Contrails are man-made type of cirrus cloud formed when water vapor from the exhaust of a jet engine condenses on particles. And I find that funny because I was at the park this morning with my 2-year-old, turning 2 Friday, and that's all I did was watch the typical chemtrail being laid out. And so here's one picture of it, and eventually they turn into these wisping type clouds. And that's not the plane laying it out, by the way. That just happened to be in there. So, and you can see the typical crisscross patterns and whatnot. But many times they end up looking like this, and they just spread out and spread out and spread out. Looking like the cirrus clouds eventually, as you can see here. So again, they're just fooling the masses. by creating these types of stories. And, you know, it's really sad, man. Really, really sad. And it looks like this is messed up over here when I go to enlarge the picture, so don't harp on me about it, please. But let me see, I have one in here where it shows this line. See if this is it. Yes, and here you see him. You see him coming across with against one that he has already laid. So there he is, laying a new formation of chemtrail cloud right here. And it's long. Most contrails end right here, behind the airplane. Go back about this far and it evaporates and it's gone. This guy is not a contrail, this is a chemtrail. And they do have metal particles that they're spraying up there that are encapsulated in ice, folks. So go back and read that article or whatever. You can listen to me read it. I'm not a really good reader anyhow, but hey man, I try to put it out there for you. And here, let's see, where was that? Is that this guy here? No. Let's see, where are you? Yeah, it just starts expanding and expanding until it turns into this shit eventually, which looks like a Cirrus cloud. Now what's amazing is in the one article, it talks about you can see the Cirrus clouds coming in before a major storm. They're usually in front of the storm. Okay? No, that's not Nibiru. That's a whole nother fucking story, the whole Nibiru thing. Okay? Blocking the sun out. Let me see. This might be it. Okay. Here's a storm coming in right here. It may not actually turn into a storm. But these here are real clouds. And they're coming in. And they're spraying lines right along these clouds. So eventually these clouds are going to catch up with these, which could produce a nice, more effective storm system, or actually stop it from storming, because I've seen that. I've watched them with my own eyes do it, man, and it's absolutely well, it's sad. Well, it seems I lost track of where that one was. But as you can see, they try to put it right along the sun. It's always near the sun, or they'll spray where they know the wind is going to blow it and make it drift towards the sun. So they're pretty good at this. Like they might spray it off over here, and they know as it's expanding, it's going to eventually drift in front of the sun, and the sun's just going to be covered. But again, they're doing this, and at the same time telling you that it's global warming causing this from the manufacturing that we're doing, when it's actually them spraying metals up there, fine powdery metals. Nice. The sun's right here behind the tree. I was actually laying on the grass in the park, watching and just taking my pictures, watching them spread their shit, and then blaming it on the Industrial Revolution. Oh, there he is. Okay, I found him. So here's the beginning coming out from the tree. And here he is going into the next tree over. And it's a pretty good distance. Wonder what that is. Huh. If if I caught one of those black orbs. I've been seeing a lot of black orbs lately around the clouds in the skies here in Chicago. Okay, so upon leaving the park, I come home, which is about 5 blocks, 6 blocks away, and just sit on my front porch and watch these things drift by all day long, because they're spraying up there, you know. And yeah, so there's your cirrus cloud, man-made. It's basically man-made. And again, they want to fool you and say, oh no, you know, these are special clouds way up in the atmosphere, and you know, they're catching certain types of metals, and you know, they survive off of these certain types of metals that manufacturers are shooting up into the air. And oh, the volcanoes too. You know, let's blame the volcanoes. Let's blame everything but us, you know. So just more lies, just a lot of lies. And you guys need to be aware. There's a lot of you guys, pretty much everybody that subscribes to me knows all about this crap. But you know, for any of you new ones, here's the evidence. Fuck 'em.